Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
It's the end of the year. It's almost Christmas, soon to be New Year's. And so we're here to tally up, talk about our favorite albums and things we listened to throughout 2022 and also 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we decided to do 2 years in one just because we started. When did we start this podcast? Like, technically last year, or did we start technically doing this like more seriously this year?
May 1st, 2021.
Oh, okay. So yeah, 2 years in one. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, 2022, as far as concerts, like we started off pretty strong, but as like the year kept going on, our lives kept getting a little busier. Stuff has changed a lot, and I'd say this year for concerts, I want to say they weren't as. It wasn't. It was hectic, but it wasn't as hectic as like the years prior. You know?
Yeah.
Like I think 2021 had a lot of good concerts, but then like of course like before COVID hit, like 2020 had a lot of good lineups happening, but of course 2019 I think had a lot of good memorable concerts going up. But like, anyways, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, we were going to cover favorite albums that have come out this year in 2022, but then also we didn't do one of these for 2021, so we were going to go back and cover a bunch of those. And also we were going to talk about even if certain albums weren't released in that given year, if we got into them in that year, I figure we'll also talk about it. And then I think we even kind of figured out like our sort of top 5 and favorites for albums of the year for each year.
Oh, I definitely figured it out.
Okay.
I have them written down right now. So I'm going to start off from, I guess, the bottom of my 2020 albums. Silk Sonic. Great album. Not going to lie. Great album. Like Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Dying combination that it should have happened earlier, but like, I guess because they're hectic lifestyles. But like, man, did they come out with such a banger, and I was so sad I wasn't able to go see them perform in Las Vegas. Like, that would have been a hell of a trip.
I know they only did a select few dates together because then they have to go off to their individual projects. But yeah, they released those singles, Skate,
Smoking out the window.
Yeah, those were so good. And then the album came out, and the rest of it was just as buttery smooth. Very aptly named Silk Sonic.
Dude, it was so good. The fact they got Bootsy Collins to like open up the whole and set the whole vibe. It really just set the mood for this like what 70s like this. I want to say this like not disco. That's wrong. 70s like R&B vibes, and like when you look at like Bruno Mars's like discography, he's kind of been like bringing retro back for a long time, just like kind of like right under our noses. And it only really hit me when Silk Sonic came out, where I was like, this is the whole vibe he's been going for, his whole aesthetics this entire time.
Kind of like The Weeknd doing a lot of like 80s stuff with his sound.
The Weeknd had a pretty good album, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, The Weeknd was good stuff. I got into. Yeah, now that we're talking about, I didn't think to add any of his stuff. And then you had mentioned Silk Sonic earlier, and I forgot to add them to my list. But yeah, they were definitely a favorite.
Oh my god, yeah.
And that was 2021.
That was 2021.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
crazy.
That was so long ago. I wouldn't say even long ago, just a whole year. Like,
yeah,
man, like he in it a whole year that. It's still a banger. It's going to hold up. Like I can tell you, like when I'm like maybe 50, I'm still gonna be getting down with some Silk Sonic.
Yeah, still be laying it down.
Yeah, I'd be like, yo, they know this.
The
kids know this.
The kids, they still vibe.
They still vibe. Yeah.
My first one for 2021 is Between the Buried and Me with Colors 2.
Oh, yo, I forgot about that one. Yo, we saw.
I know this stuff was so long ago.
Yo, I want to say they've been under. I haven't listened to BT Bam in so long.
They've been dropping albums a lot with like the two Automata ones. Colors 2.
Colors 2 was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was one of our first shows back. That was our first concert back, actually.
It was at the Black Cat.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that's crazy stuff. I mean, even to people who aren't into progressive metal, it's like they still know Colors the album. It was such a landmark watershed album. And it's crazy to follow up so many years later and just like hearing how much more they've refined. And like, I guess I still probably like the original more just because I've had so much more time with it.
It's much rawer. Rar.
Yeah, but it's still probably just as comparable in terms of material
100,
and skill as an experience.
They definitely, like, you can tell they basically just took colors and refined it.
Yeah.
And I was not disappointed at all. I bet you that felt really good.
That felt so good.
I bet it did.
That might have even come up on the mics.
I hope it did.
Yeah, that really grossed someone out. We just lost a viewer.
They're like, ugh. The FBI's left the chat. No, colors. So when I first heard colors, my mind was immediately blown away. But like, of course, like me being a gatekeeper, I was like, it could have been better, whatever. And then now they release like colors too. I was like, colors can't get any better. It was so good. It was such a journey.
Yeah, I feel like the first time I listened to colors, I didn't really get the big deal until I then listened to like other metalcore stuff like around the same time, and then sort of just like once you could compare and contrast it, just be like, oh wow, this is insane what this is.
Oh, 100%.
Like, the whole like square dancing like breakdown part. Yeah, they just threw everything at it.
Do you remember when we saw colors live, like the
in its
anniversary?
entirety. It was so much fun.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then I think a concert is much better when everyone is on the same page, when everyone knows exactly what part is going to come around. Because like when the little square dancing part came out, everyone like started opening up the pit and started doing this whole square dancing thing, and I was like,
I know.
Oh, such a good vibe.
My favorite shows are shows where a band is playing like a single album or two albums in its entirety. That's the best. Everyone knows exactly what the set list is going to be, and just everyone's like prepared and there for it. There's like no curveballs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when we saw the Contortionists play Exoplanet and Language in its entirety. Caveman. It went from like caveman riding spaceships to caveman marching on the moon.
Yeah.
It was such a good show. Like, God, I would totally go. I think that was like one of the first few times I actually just stayed in the pit for a while.
Yeah.
Sarcoma from Alluvial.
Okay. That's on mine later. I'll zoom to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sarcoma was, oh my God. So Wes Hout, session guitarist for a long time, played for got recognized by Misha, and I forgot exactly what song he on P2 he was on. But
Wes Hosh?
Yeah, Wes Hout.
Oh.
Yeah, he was
I didn't know that. Cool.
A lot of people considered like Periphery like tastemakers, where like they would have like underground artists perform on their tracks. Like I think they had Jeff Loomis on Race Cars on Periphery 1, P1.
Okay.
Then P2, they had Guthrie Govan, and they had Wes Hout, and they had a few more art. I think even Petrucci, but like Petrucci was already established.
Oh, true.
At that time. But no, not at the time. He still is established. But Wes Hout was on it like I forget which track it was. But he made a good mark for himself on that track. Like I think I listened to a podcast where Wes was like talking about like he didn't know how far music was gonna take him, and then like the fact that Misha wanted him on an album, on a track specifically. He was just like, oh, okay, whatever. He didn't think it was gonna go anywhere, but then that's kind of like where he got recognized, and eventually he got put on the Faceless, and then from the Faceless he went to Thy Art, and then from Thy Art he went to Black Crown Initiate, and then at some point he was just like, I'm kind of done being a session guitarist. And then eventually started writing his own shit. And Alluvial came out, which was an instrumental album. To me, as a guitarist, I was like, yo, this is sick. But like
The Deep Longing for Annihilation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that title.
And we even saw it live. I don't remember what the show was, but
oh yeah, it was Keith Merrow, some other dude, and like Wes Hout. And I think Wes Hout actually broke a string. He played it off really good though, because that string got replaced immediately, and then the show went on, and I was like, "Cool, this is exactly how it should be."
I was kind of hesitant going into their Sarcoma, the latest album, just because I loved The Deep Longing so much, because like you don't get to hear much like death metal geez,
death metal. The death metal.
You don't get to hear much death metal instrumentals with no vocals.
Yeah, but it's structured like there should be vocals.
Yeah. I was a little leery with Sarcoma having vocals, but Wes had mentioned the first one was supposed to have vocals, but he couldn't find anyone to kind of fit that groove. And so then they got Kevin Mueller, who
from Suffocation.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, got Kevin Mueller and said he fit perfectly. Yeah, he said he heard Kevin perform with Suffocation and loved it. And yeah, it's such a good album. The riffs are just like really fun and interesting to listen to. It kind of just kept twisting and turning and like keeping me guessing. 40 Stories was like my favorite song.
Yo, when he sang,
Wes on the clean vocals was so good.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I was like, no, I was baffled. I was like, that's Wes. Like he had,
yeah,
and he had that. He always had that. I guess like, I guess I want to say soul. That soul behind him. I guess like hearing him actually perform it, I had no idea like that was in him.
Yeah. Yeah. Wes had the clean vocals and then he was paired with Kevin's like, screams and growls. And I've always been a sucker for dual vocals.
Of course.
So yeah, I love that song the most. And yeah, that album's killer.
I think the whole album to me was just killer. I don't really have actually, that's cap. I have a favorite song. Let me just pull it up.
You done capped yourself.
I done capped myself, brother. I kind of want to say that I don't know. Underline was really badass. Yeah, I think the Underline was like one of my favorites. Just like hard hitting riffs, like from the beginning to end. I was just like rock solid, bricked up, as they say. My next one was Bleed the Future.
Archspire?
Archspire, yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't.
Dude,
this is good. This is why we didn't. Yeah,
Archspire. Oh man, that album basically came and went at like fucking speeds that I didn't know were possible, and the fact that we got to see that perform. Wait, did I see it? And I know I saw it. Did you see it?
I think so. I don't know if it was at a Summer Slaughter or what it was, but I'm pretty sure
Metro Gallery.
I didn't see that.
Oh, okay.
The Rolo Tomasi show is my first time I've been there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I saw it and you weren't able to make it.
I thought I saw them at some point at Soundstage.
You probably
as like
did.
An opener for someone. Because like I wasn't really into them at the time, but I knew of them. I knew like a few songs. Yeah, the new album is awesome.
Oh,
it's I don't know how to explain it. Of just like you would kind of think their speed, it would sort of get like gimmicky over time, but they got like some nuance and some variety going on to kind of keep me interested, where it didn't really get stale for me.
Like the vocalist, I would compare him a lot with Tech Nine.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
rapid fire.
Just rapid fire, like lyrics, just like syncopated really well with the black. Like I can't even tell you like at what BPM they mostly record. I think they probably mostly record over like 350 BPM. I
always love that sound so much when the vocals and like the riffs are like in sync with each other.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa.
I think it was a Drone Pilot Massacre or whatever the hell.
Drone Corps Aviator.
Yeah, I think that one might have been my favorite song. Is that the one that starts with like boom 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 wee wee wee?
Boom boom boom. Oh god. Drone Corps Aviator. God, I can't even do the growl either. But like, God, that was such a good song. Like the music video for that was actually really funny, where they had their heads exploding.
Yeah. There's certain metal bands that remind me like listening to metal is just like fun. Like just at its base level, it's just like silly good fun. Yeah, and that's so kind of the feeling I got from the Archspire album, where I was just like, I love this. Like I'm just glad that I'm into this and get to like, I don't know, experience this. It just tickles my brain, like the speed and the heaviness.
Because it's like, is it even possible? But it's like, they're doing it. So yeah, it's possible. You just got to put into work and like say no to like any social event, lock yourself in a room and just live, breathe guitar.
Yeah, when you listen to Archspire, you're hearing zero family events.
Sorry, Mom, I gotta practice. But your grandmother died. Sorry, I gotta practice.
Mom, I gotta get my BPM up.
You're about to get married. Sorry, I'm about to go practice.
Those are rookie numbers.
There's a show coming up tomorrow. I gotta practice. Oh shit. Yeah, no, the Bleed the Future was such a good album. I was heavily looking forward to it. And then like when I saw it, like I was actually having dinner with a good friend of mine at Tapas Teatros. Really good place. Recommend if you like Spanish style food. And I fanboyed for a bit. I was like, oh my god. There's Dean Lamb. I see him on YouTube. Should I buy him a drink? And then I was like, no, just play cool. Just walk past him. But I couldn't help but do like one of those stares where I'm just like, God is in front of me. But at the end of the show, like literally the entrance to the stage is at the entrance of the door. So like I got the fist bump him. So I was like, I'm gonna wash his hand later, like because I know it's just if I don't wash it, it's just gonna stay dirty.
Yeah.
But anyways, like the memory of me fist bumping Dean Lamb was always gonna be there.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see them live.
It was super sick. It was so tight. In fact, like I think they were wearing like Hawaiian, like short Hawaiian shorts or something like that. It was pretty good. It's pretty tight.
I'm ready for like a tech death show again.
Next on my list is Bulb, where Misha released that single album.
That's right.
It was a good one.
He released a lot, actually. It was like a whole, or like it was one. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the archives. Never mind.
You're thinking, oh yeah, on SoundCloud.
Yeah, he did his new album,
not SoundCloud.
and then he had like 5 albums, and it was like from like his earliest demos to like newer stuff.
Oh yeah, actually, like the Foof, my favorite song, like that on that album, like finally got completed after all these years.
Yeah, looking at the comments of stuff, I realized how much like Misha lore I'm not aware of. Like so many comments were like, oh my God, I heard this in the first demo. And then in the like 3rd iteration, he added this melody and stuff. And I'm like, man, I swear I'm hearing this for the first time. Like I didn't know there was so much about this.
Bloodborne, Misha edition.
I didn't read the Misha texts. Yeah.
Oh, true. Like it, they're all written into scripts. Yeah.
Spooky.
Just add the ambience, please. Yeah, that was a solid album. I did not expect that to have a lot of like electronic influences. Like listening to it, and I was expecting more of like just gent.
Yeah, I mean him and Jake. I think it's him and Jake. Mm-hmm. They did because now Misha's got 3 dot recordings, and they can kind of do their own.
They can do whatever.
So yeah, but yeah, Misha and Jake have that project
4 seconds ago.
they have that project 4 seconds ago, and it's very like electronic-y.
Yeah.
And then I think Jake was on P4. I think he might have been like the main influence for that song Crush. That was kind of dark wavy.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I guess that makes sense that there'd be some electronic stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. It was good. Like I actually like listened to it more than I thought. It was actually like kind of some songs would be background noise, like before the crescendo, which would be like, you know, like the whole gent. I'm gonna say it, gent. Gent.
That dirty word.
Yeah, gent. I'm gonna just say it. But it'd be kind of like a nice break in between songs. Like you'd have like the like nice crushing riffs, but then you just kind of like mellow out, chill out for a bit, and just kind of like let your body get ready for the next wave. And it was just honestly, it was just tight. It was really well, I guess, track titles were just really well thought out and like how spaced out. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. The last one on my 2021 list actually like impacted me. It was The Work by Rivers of Thought.
Yeah, that's on mine.
Such a good album. Like I even bought the tab book for it. That album, such a different turn from where Owls Know My Name. Like right now, Rivers of Nile is just by far my favorite. I wouldn't say by far, but like right now they are one of my favorite progressive metal artists. Like the way they incorporate like jazz, especially like the saxophone in a metal context, like really surprises me. And like when we saw them live, That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so good. Like, I forgot the saxophone's name, but like, he brought down his baritone sax, and like it sounded so massive.
Yeah, it punched
massive.
through the mix. It sounded great.
God, like the way that album is just curated, like I think I think I mentioned this before. They like almost stopped recording that album because everyone was so stressed out during COVID and like during the whole lockdown, it was just like so isolated, and like they had to like put in the work to really make that album come out. And honestly, it's a masterpiece. It's beautiful. Like way different from not Silent Life, but Where Owls Know My Name. But like it's a pleasure to listen to every single time, and I think that album's gonna hold up when I'm like 52.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really smooth the way it flows together. And like I remember you being into Where Owls Know My Name, and like I kind of liked it. I was like, I sort of like saw the potential, but it just didn't quite hook me in as much. But then with the work, they released the singles. They released the singles. They did Clean, and I don't remember what else. But yeah, I was engaged by those. I was like,
The Void Where No Sound Escapes.
like,
that album was
that song's unreal. That one's so good.
God, so
The build
technical.
up and climax in that. Yeah. So this one, I think I told you about personally. This one's probably just a me thing, but the comedian Bo Burnham, he does like music, comedy.
Yeah.
He does like songs, and then the lyrics and that music cues will be the punchlines. And so he released in 2021. He released Inside.
Okay, that's an entire year of him being isolated because he was like going through a mental breakdown. And
so this one was really depressing. It's
Jeffrey Bezos.
Calling it like a comedy special wasn't quite as fitting for this one. But
side note, you notice how comedy is like gets a little bit more depressing like now, and it's more like of like an educational
like a
reflection, more of an educational factor of like someone's like true self versus like someone writing material of like just making fun of things. I feel like when someone does comedy, it's a reflection of like how they feel inside.
Yeah.
About some things.
Yeah. Or how people see things.
Oh yeah. And side note.
So yeah, and like I'm kind of a Bo Burnham stan. I'm a big fan of his, and I always just kind of liked how he was like one of the few creators where I kind of took in his work as like two different mediums. Like first I would take it as a comedy special, and then I would just start to listen to the songs like as like a musician. So yeah, I liked it. It was a really melancholic album. Some heavy stuff or some emotionally heavy stuff.
Oh yeah, like
really vulnerable.
Like seeing him like just breaking down in front of the camera, and even like because he did the whole thing himself and edited it himself. Like
this one, yeah.
So that must have been hard seeing yourself just struggling and like finally mustering up the energy to like edit that in or just leave the shit like that in.
I remember a thing that stuck with me was there was one point where he had a little video log just talking to himself, and he said something about like he doesn't know how to like order the bits or like end the special, and part of him also doesn't want to end the special because then he won't have this project distracting him and something to fill him with drive and keep him going. And that kind of hit me hard of just like when you like sort of, even if it's like making you kind of manic, you don't want to lose that purpose, because when you just are devoid of a passion or something, there's just nothing, and that's a horrible feeling.
Because it's done.
Welcome to therapy hour.
Right? Like I can see that for me. Like I'm just glad shit's done. I'm just like, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
and I'm done, and I fall back asleep. But yeah, like I guess something for that. Imagine him just releasing a series. Like I mean, technically he could just release a series of shit like that, but then it wouldn't have meant anything. He
did release sometime recently. He had a follow up which was like deleted songs and little clips and like unfinished ideas and stuff. And yeah, there's some fun stuff there. So my next one's definitely going to be a mutual one. Spiritbox.
Yes.
Eternal Blue.
100%. I can't believe I forgot that one. We were mentioning in the car on the way to get our food, how like this girl on America's Got Talent played Holy Roller. and seeing the crowd just like in disgust. You're like, oh, what is this? Oh, and I'm just looking at that girl. It's like, yes, you girl,
That
fuck
little
yes.
girl's been corrupted by Satan.
I fucking loved it. Like,
And then she got to perform with Spiritbox live, like soon after that.
I would have been shitting my pants and like, I guess out of happiness.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
It's super cool.
God. Like, and then seeing Simon Cowell's face just kind of like lit up. It's just like, oh, what is this? Because it's like, I'm sure they don't get stuff like that all the time.
I would hope they could, even if they don't like it subjectively, like I would hope that sort of vocal coaches like that could at least still sort of appreciate like the technique that goes into that stuff. Yeah.
Into it. Like a good example is like, not my favorite band by any means, but like Lorna Shore's vocalist Will Ramos. Like, I saw like this clip on YouTube where like, I guess I forget exactly what college is.
Is this the thing where they put the camera down his throat?
Yeah, and kind of see his vocal, like his trachea.
I didn't watch that. I was too freaked out by that. I didn't want to see it.
It was insane. Like, so like I give Will Ramos, or Ramos, however you want to say it, Ramos, the utmost respect, because like he took like his vocal training seriously to the point where he even like learned Mongolian throat singing. So like
I can see how that's transferable.
He like took that shit very seriously, and being able to control shit like that on the fly is like, that's not easy. I could not even begin to tell you like how to even approach Mongolian throat singing, or like the different types of screams. Like, I think I jokingly do some in the car where I'm like,
yeah.
everyone who listens to metal at least does some version of that.
Yeah, I think two moments for me where I really appreciated metal vocals from like a more technical standpoint, besides just like enjoying it as a listener. I mentioned this many episodes back, but I'd watched a video with Kardashev's vocalist.
Oh, gotcha.
I forget his name, but he has a whole YouTube channel dedicated to just like metal vocals and singing, and he had Dickie Allen as a guest.
Oh, snap.
And just hearing them talk about how they do vocals, just like there was so much more technique and minutia that it went into it than I was expecting. And another one was there was an interview with Carson Pace, the vocalist from the Calloused Owlboys. And,
oh, nice.
And in some interview, they asked, like, how have you improved in this latest album? And he said when writing the lyrics, he was more conscious about, like, word choice and stuff like that, because like there were some instances in previous albums where like he just wrote the lyrics and then he's like, all right, time to just figure out how to scream this, and then once in practice you'd kind of trip over your words a little, and so he was like more conscious of it the next time. And I was like, oh, I never thought of that before.
Gotcha, that's really interesting.
Of just like actually like structuring the lyrics so that you know like when to inhale, exhale, like when to just, I don't know. That makes sense. When it's going to hit. Yeah.
I'm sure rappers do the same thing. Like we're like a common thing is when you see the word happy, but they only pronounce appy, because like the H takes too much, like I guess depending on the bar that you're gonna say or like how you're gonna time it, like it takes too much effort to say happy. It takes too much space. So you short it to say appy to kind of like, you know, make it a little bit more sharper and like fit within your flow.
Interesting.
Like that's one thing. Like one of my coworkers taught me that, and I was like, you know, I never really thought about that stuff like that, like leaving out a syllable to make an entire bar or flow fit. Because if you did leave that, if you said that word in its entirety, it probably wouldn't have flowed as well. Plus, there's like obviously like not flow and like slang to it.
That's really cool.
And I'm sure like vocalists think about the same thing, or like how they space out their syllables. Like when like it's singing the lyrics, and like what word, like exactly what letter they're going to accentuate throughout the whole verse.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a vocalist, but that's stuff I've noticed.
It is really cool. Yeah, I'd like to dig more into that world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back to Spiritbox.
Oh yeah,
great songwriting, production. You know, the instruments are clean and punchy. You know, crazy breakdowns. Courtney LaPlante's a power. She's a powerhouse of a vocalist.
I love you, Courtney.
Yeah, really catchy melodies and hooks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The fact we got to see them at the Fillmore, that was awesome.
Yeah, I did love like the album released, got to listen to it, digest it a bit, and then just like got to see them live soon. Yeah, it was just like perfect timing.
It was a great show.
And I like the songs Secret Garden and Constance.
Oh my God, Secret Garden was so good.
Yeah, Secret Garden's probably my favorite from the album. And just like, I don't know, having some more like evocative, emotional songs. Yeah, just a, nice, nice to hear like a different perspective, a woman's perspective in the metal scene.
Because you don't really get that a lot, to be honest.
The last thing I was just going to say, when it was in some interview, Courtney had talked about like the meaning of some of the songs, and apparently most of the album relates to just like her depression and dealing with her, and like specifically Holy Roller or Roller. I've never known how to pronounce
Roller, Holy Roller.
That one's like her imagining herself talking to her inner demons.
Interesting, and I never put that together.
And yeah, it's a banger. I saw someone on social media recently refer to them as down-tuned Evanescence.
That's funny.
And they meant it as like a dig, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense with me. Like
they were trying to troll.
Yeah, Evanescence.
Just like, and then everyone was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Evanescence kicks ass to me.
Oh my God, I remember when when Evanescence first came out, what was that one song that everyone knew?
Bring Me to Life.
Oh my God, yeah, that was my jam for a bit, but I never really got anything else after that.
So when they perform live, that one male singer is not a part of it. The one who's the guy who's like pairing off with Amy Lee. Apparently when recording that, they didn't want him at all. The studio just like shoehorned him in because that was like, I don't know, I guess like new metal and just like rap stuff.
Okay. Oh yeah, Wake Me Up.
Yeah, it was pretty big at the time, so they're like, you gotta have this guy, you gotta have him. But yeah, now when they still perform live,
they still perform.
Yeah, they still perform.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're still touring and stuff. I think they've also just released a new album.
They're releasing music?
Yeah. They had like The Fallen, The Open Door, some third album, and then this like crazy long stretch of time. And I think they like just now have finally released a fourth one.
Gotcha.
I think that's the way it goes.
Gotcha.
I'm not up to date.
God, I haven't listened to Evanescence in years.
Ooh, here we go. Oxidized by Frontierer.
Oh,
UK like mathcore.
Oh, Frontier.
Glitchy hardcore.
When are you coming? When are you coming, Frontier? You've been saying this for years. I would love to see Frontier. Oh my God, when that album came out, like that was a masterpiece on their end. Like,
yeah, each one's gotten
good.
Yeah, each one's gotten a little bit better, and I feel like they're getting a little better at integrating the noise and the glitchiness with the metal.
Yeah,
and
I remember the first time when I heard Frontier. Like this is when I was just downloading zip files off the internet. Like hopefully my computer wasn't going to catch a virus. And this was their EP, and like I remember like kind of digging
the Collapse.
Yes, the Collapse. Oh God, yeah, that was such a. Only very few people knew about it, and then once they released their album,
Orange Mathematics.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone was like all on that train, and I was just like in my head, I was like, y'all didn't know about this beforehand. So good.
I loved Orange Mathematics. I listened to it, and the thing that I remember about it, and that I appreciate so much, is they're one of the few bands that could give me anxiety from listening to the album. Like I struggle to listen to one of their albums from start to finish. And now, I've listened to their songs enough and familiar enough with their material, that's kind of subsided. But I appreciate that so much. And my note for Oxidized was that this album was one of the most harrowing things I've subjected myself to listening to.
Dude, I fucking loved it. But then again, I just love chaos. In general,
when I want to get lost in some chaos, they're a go-to.
I can't believe you said it was harrowing. It's just like the most uneasy thing to listen to. I was just like, damn. See, like that's how I compare a lot of like avant-garde jazz.
Yeah,
to me, like I guess for most people, when I guess listening to metal, it gives them anxiety. Like they just can't really handle it. But like when I listen to like something like I don't know, like Mary Halvorsen, like her earlier stuff. Or like Nels Klein, like I actually feel like this is actually kind of uneasy. I don't know if I can handle this. And it's just like
Oh yeah,
not
like
as like technical.
some free jazz.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I would feel like just uneasy. I'm like, where the fuck is the
Atonal
chaos?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd feel like some sort of anxiety. I'm just like, I don't even know how I want to feel about this.
Yeah, I've tried to explain that to people before, where it's like there's a certain quality that I'm always seeking for in metal, and I mostly always, God, I messed that up. There's a certain quality I'm always trying to find in music, and I always it's easiest to find it in metal. I'm always just trying to find, you know, something that's heavy, and that's usually like loud or like something that like surprises me or keeps me on my toes. And it's like I can totally find that elsewhere, you know, with like noise or electronic or hip hop or what have you. It's just easiest to find it in metal. But yeah, I've totally listened to some jazz before where it just makes me so uncomfortable because it's just like zigging and zagging and winding, and there's nothing to hold on to.
Yeah.
There's no stable ground, you know, there's no solid footing. You're just like,
which is kind of weird to say because it's like I feel like jazz is very structured, and then like when you hear metal, like well, actually metal is pretty structured too, but like to the average listener, like metal is something that they feel super uneasy about, but like jazz is scary.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I fear jazz.
Yeah, I get that. I 100% get that.
I fear it. That's lack of boundaries.
Yeah. Jazz is the final boss. Yeah.
Once you can beat jazz,
Yeah.
you can beat anything. Oh God.
This next one's a big one.
All right.
Vildhjarta.
Oh,
Masstaden under vatten.
Is that how you say it?
I guess.
Okay.
That's how I'm saying it.
Masstaden und vatten.
Yeah, I made that sound German. They're like from Sweden.
Are they from Sweden?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I think.
Because like I know
I could be wrong. It could be Norway. I don't know.
They sound Norwegian.
I think it's Sweden because I think them and Meshuggah are both from there. And there's something in the water. So yeah, this was their first LP in 10 years, the sequel to Masstaden. They had their EP Thousands of Evils in 2013. This beast is almost an hour and a half long. And it actually took a while for it to click for me. Mostly because of self-perpetuated hype. Just in the, 10 years of waiting for a new release, or I guess, slightly less than that because the EP, like 7 years, whatever. It felt like a long time, and I hyped it up in my brain to just unrealistic, unattainable proportions. But yeah, it was different from what I was expecting. It was slowed down. It was really ambient.
I wouldn't say it was chaotic either. It was,
instead of being really chaotic and fast and intricate, it was like these slower, more
drawn out.
Yeah, more like methodical riffs. And that's like not what I was expecting. It's not what I, signed up for. So I was kind of like, oh, that's a bummer. But then they have this other project called Thornhill, and it's mostly the same members. And up until an EP that they just released like a few weeks ago, it's been entirely instrumental, and it's kind of like this newer album sound where it's like it's still clearly gent, but it's more focused on melody, and ambience. And so once I kind of listened to some Thornhill, I went back to it, and it just kind of like unlocked it in my brain. I was like, oh, I love this. This is amazing. So yeah, I tried to dig into what it was about, but a lot of the lyrics are in Swedish, and like even when I Google translated it, it just kind of came out weird and choppy.
You don't understand Swedish, bro?
So, no.
Oh, well.
But yeah, it's whatever the story is, it's some sort of dark fable and like world they've created just for these albums. And apparently it's, according to some Reddit threads, like real intricate and stuff. So that's pretty rad to like make your own world for like some concept albums. Changing gears to hip hop, I got LP by Jpegmafia, released in 2021. I think this is
Oh, didn't they sample Animals as Leaders on that song?
They did.
Yes.
Yes. So he released an online version and an offline version.
Interesting.
I don't know which one I listened to because I didn't realize there were two. I think the distinction was just that some of his samples like didn't make it past like copyright
Interesting.
entanglement or red tape or whatever. So he had like an offline version, which was kind of like how he intended it to be, and then online. I'm not sure which one I listened to, honestly, but regardless, I loved it. It's a bit dialed back. It's not as chaotic as his other albums. It's probably his most accessible one.
Interesting, because I really like all my heroes are cornballs.
Yeah.
That to me was super accessible. But then again, actually, I don't know. Veteran was also pretty accessible too. He's a really good artist.
Yeah, we were also talking about that at that Loathe show. Yeah, talking about like just being a producer and him creating his own beats and just like that experimentation of just making beats out of anything and everything. Just sampling other stuff, just taking like random noises and just mishmashing stuff.
That's something I could never think about, to be honest. I can't be like, shit, let's make a beat out of that.
Yeah.
Or just even hear like some birds chirping and then just kind of like, all right, let's make that into a beat real quick.
It's crazy stuff. It just like I've seen it with stuff with Kanye and like stuff with clipping, just like how something that's like really catchy and I'm into, and then hearing how it started from, and it's like, how was that like a car commercial when this started? Just the way things can get contorted is insane. Yeah, I don't know whether he just hears something and then immediately goes like, I can alter this, or if it's just like a series, or it's just if it's just a series of experimentation. But either one is valid and interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree.
My next one, Rest in Peace, Every Time I Die, with the album Radical.
That album was actually really good.
Yeah,
that's the first. So I've mentioned to Brent before. I am not a big Every Time I Die fan. It never really clicked to me until this album, where I actually was like, you know what, this is really good. And then this whole Keith Buckley like rivalry with him and his like whole band situation just.
Yeah, you got into them at the worst time.
I know, but it was so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, if this has to be their last album, it could definitely be worse. I mean, it's an awesome closing album.
I agree.
Their discography's been very solid the whole way through, and this album's no exception. The songs are pretty short. They come in, they're punchy, they get a catchy hook, a meaty breakdown, and then it's just like on to the next one. It's just like, you know, it's almost like a whirlwind. I've always loved Keith Buckley as a vocalist. He has these really genuine and like artsy lyrics, and then also just his vocal style of like, I don't know, it just sounds like he's gonna, I don't even know what the technique would be called or anything, but just I don't understand how he can control his screams, where it's I don't know, it just sounds like he's giving it all it sounds like he's giving it his all every word he screams out. It's like it sounds like he's like about to puke at any second from how he's just belting it out.
Gotcha. Like for me, like you told me that he was an English teacher before, and I actually took a little deep dive into his lyrics, and I was like, these lyrics are really like well thought out. Like,
yeah,
even though I don't really care for the music, I can respect like the lyricism and it's actually the thought process like put behind it.
They add to the heaviness, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really thankful I got to see them I got to see them 3 times.
You saw them at the Fillmore for a bit, right?
But the first time I wasn't actually into them yet. They were the headliner for the All Stars tour in 2013. And
I was there.
And all these fans were going crazy for them. Yeah, I said that was one of the shows my dad drove me to. He was my ride.
Didn't Structures play that show as well?
Yes. Structures, Stray from the Path.
Yes.
But the mic wasn't working. So no vocals. Chelsea Grin, who I think I was mostly there for at the time.
Oh, yeah. I remember the show. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then I bailed for every time. I wasn't into them at the time. All these fans were like rabid for them. They were like, they're the best. They're the best. But then I saw them again at Warped Tour and at Soundstage. So yeah, glad I got to see them in. I mean, they're still going to make music. They're in different projects. I mean, Keith and Jordan are brothers. Maybe they'll reunite at some point. We'll see.
I don't know. I feel like when a bond like that gets broken, it's like
Yeah, severed.
Severed, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I always mention this, brothers or siblings who are in bands always make great music. Like the Contortionist, you got the brother guitarist and drummer. One of my favorite bands, TTNG, This Town Needs Guns. Guitarist and drummer.
I never knew that one, yeah.
Just a good example, Every Time I Die, brother, as vocalist and guitarist. And yeah, I don't think those are just a few I can really mention right now.
Yeah, we listed off a whole bunch the other day.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, next up is Idols.
Idols.
Punk band from the UK.
Yeah.
They
were recently on. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I was gonna say they were recently on. Not quite. Was it Tiny Desk they were recently?
Oh
on?
yeah, they did that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done it once or twice. Yeah, their latest album, Crawler. It's probably my favorite so far. Man, they're so energetic. They really have a just dynamism. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know. It is now.
Merriam-Webster. Yeah. It. Dynamism.
Yeah.
Dynamicism.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They're dynamic or something. But yeah, I mean, I've really loved like individual songs throughout their discography so far, but I think this was the first album where from start to finish, I really loved it. It just had a lot of variety. I mean, it had the usual heavy bangers that they do. There was a single like grindcore song in it.
Okay.
And then the rest, it was, some like Joy Division influence. And then there was one song that was electronic and kind of ethereal. So yeah, really cool stuff. Yeah, they're definitely a contemporary band to keep your eyes and ears open towards. There's this band I discovered called Dead Soma, and they had this EP called Faces Which No Mask Could Ever Conceal. I should play you a sample from one of their songs sometime.
On our break, play me a song.
They're this massively chunky mathcore. They've got like glitches. They have this bass that is like heavier than anything imaginable. It's so unbelievably heavy, and it's this short and sweet EP. It's like 5 songs. Yeah, it's like a black hole. It's just crushingly heavy.
Ooh.
Next one. So this one's like so out of left field compared to everything. A friend of mine from high school got me into this artist. There's this transgender woman named Arca. She's a Brazilian DJ / experimental electronic artist. And she, for years now, has had this flow of release an album, and it's like kind of artsy but pretty accessible, like EDM and dance stuff. And then the next release will be a mixtape, and it'll be the most like scary, off the wall, experimental, like noise glitch stuff you've ever heard in your life. Well, end of 2020 to the beginning of 2021, she dumps 5 albums, like overnight, just drops them on YouTube. 5 albums, and they're each called Kick 1 through 5. I guess it's like Kick is this series. And so it's like experimental, electronic, reggaeton, noise, glitchy. It's super rich and textured. It's kind of like we talked about before with like Jpegmafia, just like really nuanced and like intricate production and like beats and crazy interesting stuff. Yeah, I've been checking out her stuff for a while.
I'll have to check her out. You have to link me.
I'll have to send you. She has this album called Mutant, and there's one song on there that legitimately scares me.
Really?
It's so uncomfortable.
Interesting. Anyways.
So yeah. All right, we're back. Now
we're back.
We're here to discuss the year 2022 favorite and noteworthy albums that we listened to.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
You're out. I'm gonna vibe off your list a lot more than mine.
Okay.
Cool, but like for my mention, Suicide Boys. That was a huge hitter.
Yeah, I've been listening to them. So take the floor.
I love Suicide Boys. It took me a while to get into them, but mostly because I wasn't giving it like trap or emo rap a chance or anything. But They've been a band for not band. They've been a group for a long time, and honestly, they went under my radar for a super long time. Until my old coworker slash friend of mine, Mackie, miss you, Mackie. Hope you're listening to this at some point. Got me onto them, and like he was more open to like the trap side of things than I was, and then eventually like I got onto it because I was like, I want to see what this thing's about, and then eventually it clicked. It clicked with me.
It clicked hard.
Yeah, the album Sing Me a Lullaby, My Sweet Temptation. That album is such a masterpiece to me. Like I can listen to that album like front to back like a few times a day, and it's awesome. Especially like to me, Matte Black hit really hard, and In Constant Sorrow. Like to me, this year was a super heavy year for me in regarding change and like myself, and like honestly just trying to figure out myself, and then a lot of emotions like came along with it, especially with depression, and then like In Constant Sorrow just kind of like just really hit the nail with like how I was really feeling. So like I really do thank Suicide Voice for like kind of like putting a song out there that kind of like I can resonate with, and I'm glad that that it exists. So good.
Maybe I'm like off base here, but like I don't actually really know what their sound is. Are they sort of like emo trap, or are they like horrorcore? Like I don't really know what they are.
I would say I kind of would I would say it's a mixture of trap and emo, but I wouldn't say emo trap. But like I would say it's just it's just more like emotional rap, emo rap.
Okay.
But it's really I enjoyed it a lot. I've been wanting to see them for a long time, like a super long time. And from what I've seen on their shows, it just looks so crazy. It's super fun. Like I would love to vibe with their energy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like sing me a lullaby, my sweet temptation. Love it. And to me, this album really felt like they kind of grew up. Like they kind of like really found their sound. And then I know they released another album this year. It's called Nevermind. The song I was thinking it was like my Swisher Sweet, but my Sig Sour. But anyways, it's called The Dirty Nastiest Suicide. That's their latest album with a Germ. But I really like this album. Sing Me a Lullaby, My Sweet Temptation. Love it. Great. So Monuments. Oh yeah, Monuments with Stasis. Yeah.
I forgot to add this one.
That album was actually when that album came out, it was good. The singles released, bangers. But I took a break from that album for a little bit. I think I was more like an emo trap hip hop phase, and then I recently just got back into them. They've been like I guess just like they just been my jam at the moment, and like every song in Stasis just grooves, and I don't know if it's a concept album, to be honest. I feel like it is.
I'm not sure. I didn't dig that deep into it. I only listened to it like maybe twice or something. I really liked it. It felt like a step up for them in terms of quality, and I don't mean that as saying their previous work was inferior.
It wasn't inferior. No,
it was a big jump in quality.
Like I've always like stayed true to like listening to Gnosis, and then like the Amnesis, and then I guess what's the third album? Parrhesia? No, I'm thinking Phronesis. That album was really good. I had a few like it wasn't the strongest album in my opinion, but it was still a really good album. But with Stasis, like to me, they really kind of just like nailed their sound a bit more. Everything just felt a little bit more fresh.
Yeah, it feels like solidified.
Yeah, and I
like
really,
ideas they've been working with,
and like just the grooves. Like John Brown doesn't really disappoint. I mean, I was never really disappointed, but man, like I was just kind of like just blown away with like the harmonies, and like with the new vocalist too. Like it just vibed way more. I think they found their sound with their new vocalist. Just it flows better.
It reminds me of like when Veil Amaya switched vocalists, like with Matriarch.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like it was like from that point where I kind of got into them a bit more. And
Matriarch was such a pinnacle album for them.
I mean, I liked the previous vocalist with Monuments too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Chris
good
Beretta.
stuff.
Chris Beretta was really good.
I know.
Honestly,
he's crazy good.
I sometimes wish he was still in it, but like honestly, like I think he's always had like not shitting on him. I think just from past from what I've noticed, just I wouldn't say he band hop, but like there's always been like just never bands that were like worked out with him.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, I know of him from many different projects.
Yes.
Like Friend for a Foe.
Oh yeah, you remember
Ever-
Friend for a Foe?
I do remember Friend for a Foe. I remember Ever Forthright.
Oh, I love Ever.
I remember
Forthright.
being so pumped about that band, sad that they didn't go anywhere.
God, yeah. So side note, Nick actually had a side project called Stimpy Lockjaw, which was really good. That's like more on like the jazz, like progressive, like experimental side of things. Super good if you're into like experimental stuff.
Didn't Chris Beretta have something to do with like Periphery for a little
In the
bit?
beginning,
In the very beginning, yeah.
beginning. It just seems like stuff never really worked out for him. Yeah, Monuments and Stasis. That was a hard hitting album for me, especially like now. Like especially, I'm getting back into the groove of things as far as like practicing and just kind of like really just finding my own rhythm again, and just kind of like, yeah, I just get excited when I listen to that album because I'm like, I really want to be able to achieve like that technique, like the down picking technique. That's it. That's all I really got to say for Monuments.
For my next one, Fit for an Autopsy, with What the Future Holds from 2022.
That was really good.
Yeah, so like they've been deathcore, and I feel like with this album they were kind of doing the thing that Whitechapel was doing with Kin, which is sort of almost, sounding like Rivers of Nile a bit, where it's like starting with the bass of deathcore, but then adding like atmosphere, clean vocals, I guess like a concept for the story, and then just kind of having this fusion of like death metal and deathcore, with maybe like a little prog sprinkled in. And it seems to be a winning combo because like every song was pretty solid, and it's doing good things for them in terms of like critics and audience reception.
Fit for an Autopsy has always been super solid. Super solid. Especially the album before that. Was it Sea of Tragic Beasts?
Oh, that's right.
That album was actually really killer. I actually really enjoyed that song. Actually, now that I'm thinking about What the Future Holds, like all I hear is the feedback. I forgot exactly from which track, but it's just like I hear it. And just pure chaos coming around. I'm just like, yeah, I remember that album hitting pretty well.
Yeah,
in my soul.
they also like withhold the breakdowns a little longer. It's not so much a breakdown fest as it is like building up the anticipation, and then it's just like, and then they just have like one massive one to finish the song.
Yeah, Will Putney does a really good job like structuring those songs. Will Putney and I forget the other main dude's name, but like he's also a bald head dude, plays for Jackson guitars, Pat something. Anyways, yeah, they do a good job structuring those songs. Just they kind of treat it like hits in a way. Like they have like their intro, bridge, like melodies, and just kind of like outros.
Yeah,
they just have a good formula going on for them.
Yeah, it is very structured in a conscientious way.
Oh, how could we forget Polyphia?
Okay, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I got a good bit to say on them. Yeah,
Okay, let me hear it.
no, in a good way.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hear it.
So for some context, we saw Dance Gavin Dance in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes,
at
we
the
did.
Electric Factory. Polyphia was one of the openers, them and Veil Maya. And Sarah actually really liked Polyphia. And since that show, she'll like play like a Pandora station regularly of them, just like doing chores or like trying to get work done. And then sometimes when I'm like alone at the gym and I get to pick the music, I'll put on Polyphia, and people are like, wow, I didn't know instrumental music could be so interesting.
Like, where have you been?
But yeah, their latest album, Remember You Will Die. I was nervous because they released the track list and like most of the songs have guest spots. And I always get a little nervous when there's a lot of guests on an album because I worry it'll become like an ego fest or something, like people be vying for attention, or like the guests will like somehow like take away, from like the groove that the, band has. But pleasantly, I can say, I mean, the album's a banger. And even though there's so many different guests, I mean, they contribute everything from vocals, There's a trumpet player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Steve Vai on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
What was that one? Melissa Black on vocals. I think that's her name.
Sophia
Black.
I actually really liked ABC.
Yeah.
That ABC was so good.
So the songs that had guests, it truly, I in my opinion, Polyphia did like what you should do for an album like this that's very guest spot heavy, which is very collaborative. Like it doesn't feel like they brought someone in and just kind of was like, okay, contribute this single piece. Like it truly felt like a collaborative thing, where they took like the essence of, you know, the song where Chino Marino's on it. It sounds like a Deftones song. Yeah. Steve Vai is this like unbelievable just guitar virtuoso fest, and then like ABC with Sophia Black is this like fun, bubbly, kawaii pop, like technical pop song.
Oh, dude, like, especially when she starts going through the whole alphabet, and then like Tim Henson starts doing like his little lick and run. Like, I was just like, yo, bro, I can't believe you just did that. Like, first of all, we know the fucking number one song on that album is "Playing God."
I love that song. That's my favorite. That and Ego Death, but mostly Playing God.
Playing God is so,
yeah. When it's back to basics and it's just them, it's unreal.
Playing God, like, you cannot hate that song. You like if you hate that song, like you are a closed-minded fuck.
Got him.
Yeah, you are like that song is just like the pinnacle of like technicality. It's like pop, it's jazzy, it has like nice classical like flamenco like influences, like has really nice like I don't know, the classical guitar has like this really nice like airy like soft resonance, and it just kind of like touches your soul in a way. And like the fact they were able to mix kind of like this like Spanish style classical guitar with a hip hop element with like kind of like, especially during like the like outro. Oh, it's like second bridge or whatever, with like that.
Yeah, that's right. And there's like even like a little whistle going on.
I love that song.
Whimsical, yeah.
Like,
that's my favorite. God,
it's so good. Like you could rip that song apart and just like, I can't hate it. Like I love it.
You can't, man. But yeah, I'm loving Polyphia. I'd like to see them live again. Because even in their previous album, New Levels, New Devils, I loved it. I was, I didn't think I could love the latest album more, and I think I love them both, just in different ways for what they are.
New Levels, New Devils, like it was great, but like, remember You Will Die.
It was like their first instance of the Spanish influence, being integrated, and then now they're just like really honing their sound.
I wouldn't say I think with New Levels, New Devils, they've definitely found their sound, but like now
they're playing with it. Yeah,
they've enhanced it like way more. God. Ugh. Anyways, yeah, Polyphia, like y'all keep doing what you're doing. Shit's sick. Parrhesia by like Animals as Leaders, like.
Oh yeah, that was totally on my list. I didn't even write notes for that one. I was just going to go off the dome.
Same. Like you don't really need notes because like that album, like Madness of Many, great album, already fantastic. Like the fact that they're still pushing it like further, like what they can do like technical wise is just still amazing and baffling to me. Just like Javier and Tosin and Matt Gartzka just have this like insane chemistry that just sounds. It sounds like interpretive dance.
Yeah, and that's why I loved in the music video of Monomyth where when they went into that and had the interpretive dancers. I thought that was so awesome, and that was something that meshed very well with their music. It's this album's great. All their albums have been great. They're so much fun to listen to. I get like a duality when I listen to them where it's like, as a fan, I'm entertained. Like I just legitimately like the music. I like the sound they're creating. And also I'm just like tickled, like paying attention to like a specific instrument at a time. And just like, not that I'm even that literate on like music theory or anything, but just kind of trying to zero in on like what they're doing. It's just so fun to pick apart. And They make it sound just like effortless. It's a breezy listen. It's like 8 tracks. I don't know how long it is, but
9 tracks,
I start it and it just goes and suddenly it's over. And I'm like, well, time to listen to it again.
Dude, like to me, Red Miso, Microaggression, Gordian Knot, and it is The Problems of Other Minds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those songs really like caught my attention like heavily.
Red Miso has like that one moment that was like a hard stop. Like I don't know what I was in the middle of doing the first time I heard that, but it made me like completely pay attention to what was going on, because I was like, what the hell is happening? It's so good. And I think after listening to it, like I messaged you and I said something about just like, I don't know, in a matter of seconds, they just like flex their chops and just show that they're heavier than like some band's entire discographies. And they're like, yeah, here's this little nugget. Like,
yeah, here you go.
We could do this all the time, but we're just going to do a little bit, you know.
They're going to tease us. They're going to tease us. God, yeah, like, no, like, the fact, like, the thumping technique has been, like, a crucial part of, like, the Animals as Leader sound. But the fact it's never gotten overplayed or boring. It's always been fresh. It's always been, like, catching my interest in some way.
Yeah, Monomyth is like Rhythm City, and it's so satisfying to listen to.
I loved it. At first, I wasn't a big fan of that song. I'm not gonna lie. But like listening to it now, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is fucking like, this is where you die.
Yeah.
Today.
It's such a good album.
Mm-hmm. Good. Fallujah. Yeah, it is Empyrean.
Okay, yeah, this was on my list.
Yeah, this was so good, so good. The album before that, Undying Light, I'm sorry guys, I wasn't that impressed with it. But to me, like, what was always like a heavy hitter was Dreamless. Dreamless was always a heavy hitter. But like this album just came back balls to the wall.
Yeah, I don't know the member history with this band, but I think I remember. I think it might have been Dylan from Under the Pier after that Rollo Tomasi show was telling me about like this was some big return of like an original member or something, and so it was kind of
which original member?
I don't know.
I don't know.
This was
God. It's just honestly. It's not an original member, but it's Evan Brewer. Like he's been into dark for a long time. He's like a bass virtuoso essentially. Like awesome. I remember listening to his solo album. It's just called Evan Brewer, but like he was, I guess how I first caught a glimpse of his like playing was through The Faceless, and I think some other side projects too. But like his taste on The Faceless is really good. I really enjoyed him. Actually, now I'm going to bring that up now with Entheos. Yeah, he's on Entheos now too. Like, so I love his taste. Like the fact he's getting back into scene and like just going out there again, like at least contributing writing. Like I am excited because he has such a unique voice and just like how he like perceives grooves and stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, Fallujah's always had a bunch of hype around them, and this is going to sound so silly, but like I always kind of tried to like follow the hype and kind of force myself to get into them, but it never quite clicked. But this album, legitimately, I got into it just naturally, and it was just like, oh, I just legitimately like this.
Yeah, like sorry, I'm on my phone a little bit more than normal. In Purgatory, that hit me hard. Like. It was so good. It's so good. Like, I really don't know. Like, Naveen and I believe his girlfriend, Cheney. Like, they have such a good chemistry because they have such a good chemistry, and Naveen's sound is kind of like super unique. It's a nice breather within like the tech death world because it's kind of like hip hoppy in a way. Like it's more groove oriented. It's tighter than like what a normal tech death band would play. It's not fast, but it's just more like
They do.
I don't know how to explain it.
They do
dude.
have more air to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, they're more open to bringing in some atmosphere, and they've got like some soaring melodies. And,
Here we go,
yeah.
Because I'm in a blank. I'm like trying to literally describe the sound in my head.
Yeah,
And-
I can hear it in my head more than I can describe it.
Yeah, and it's within Purgatory. It just sounds like chaos. It sounds like a wall of death is just about to start. It starts you off with a wall of death.
It is their own sound. It does really sound like they're kind of creating their own world. It is pretty unique.
Yeah, like so good.
Now, I want to listen to it on the drive home now.
Yeah,
My next one is Denzel Curry.
interesting. Okay,
Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. It's some classic hip hop lyricism, great beats. Denzel in some interview mentioned acid jazz and trip hop were a big influence for this album.
interesting.
And yeah, it was cool. Like I paid attention to like some of the lyrics. You know, he was kind of opening up about some of his fears and weaknesses. So it was kind of like, you know, it's some personal growth and some vulnerability going on. And
That's what makes music great too.
it's just a really easy listen. It's it's just, you know, it's I don't want to say simple, but just sort of like kind of back to basics and genuine. And yeah, it's just great. It's just fun to listen to.
like when you have an artist that kind of like opens up about like their personal mental health or like their fears and vulnerabilities, like I feel like that's what makes an artist more relatable and more I wouldn't want to say sought after, but like a more genuine, and the music tends to come out better too because it's real. It's not something that's like manufactured.
And just being retrospective and being looking back at your previous work and just being like, this is what I was doing. Here's where I'm going. Here's this is what I was doing. Here's where I am. Here's where I'm going, kind of thing. Like Danny Brown on that latest album of his. I mean, that was like a couple years back.
Are you
but
talking
like,
about Atrocity Exhibition?
no, the one after that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
okay.
one, I feel like it was almost like a similar vibe to this. It was like back to like a more kind of classic
Gotcha.
hip hop style, and
See,
it was like more mature in a way. Yeah,
Like he had his raw Triple X.
it wasn't erratic. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I still listen to Triple X.
Oh no, they're bangers. Still, they're still
it's
bangers.
so fucking
yeah.
hilarious still. Like to this day, like his metaphors and like his analogies, just kind of like, what is going on in the mind of this dude? Like, I would have never come like what he says. I cannot replicate. I cannot just repeat what he says because it's just so like out there.
Out of the
like,
context, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what I can say is that what I really liked out of Danny Brown is his album Atrocity Exhibition. To me, is still his masterpiece. That is his baby. That's kind of like when he came out vulnerably. Like he knew he had a fucking drug issue. He knew like just some things. He realized he couldn't stop or anything. But like, I don't know. That album just, it really just resonated.
Raw.
It's raw. It resonated with me. It's just, I can't think of the word sometimes because I just like I'm thinking about like how I like really connected with that album. You know.
It's full of bangers.
I didn't really like that one song. We had Be Real on it. I'm not gonna lie.
Which one?
I think it was called Dreams or something like that. But like, it sounded really dreamy or whatever. But to me, it's just you can tell like Be Real is one of his influences from Cypress Hill. But like, I didn't really vibe with that song just because I thought it was just kind of like cheesy. It's just about weed, like how weed can take the edge off and everything. I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm not that invested in.
Yeah,
I'm not that invested in that song. But everything was
can't all be winners.
Yeah, whatever though. 90% of that album was fantastic. Ooh, actually, this is one of my favorites. Coast Contra. This is a hip hop group.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
So my friend Mackie turned me on to this this group, and their album Apartment 505, dude.
Is that the album?
That is the album Apartment 505. Like that album, it's like an homage to classic like 90s hip hop.
Oh, that's cool.
And like you just hear references from like with like Wu-Tang and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like
they like a love letter.
I wouldn't say like I wouldn't say like it's like a direct ripoff or anything, but like they definitely quote like very iconic lines from Wu-Tang, and then they also quote from other various artists. But like that album in general is just like a great like masterpiece when it comes to like hip hop. Like I think they're also very slept on right now.
Awesome.
Like I don't even see too much clout on them like on the internet. But wow, my voice is getting raspy. Yeah, I don't see too much clout over them, but I know people who are big fans of like 90s hip hop will like host Contra.
Awesome.
I 100% enjoyed this album, Apartment 505. Listen to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one. I would love to see this band live. Greyhaven. This bright and beautiful
Gotcha.
world.
Gotcha.
I think I discovered them from some Every Time I Die like online community was like raving about them.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point I'm so cynical. And like my expectations they have just like gone way down whenever, because people overuse like, oh, they sound like Dillinger, they sound like this, they sound like that. And then I check it out and it's like, not really. Like, you know, nothing's really going to sound like them. But I still try it because, you know, I want to scratch that itch. But anyway, yeah, these guys totally sound like a fusion, like all the best parts of like Dillinger, Every Time I Die, and like a little Norma Jean.
Oh, Norma Jean. Oh, yeah, we just talked about Norma
And yeah, they've got this southern flair. To me, they're pretty accessible. Like they're pretty catchy, and also super heavy. You know, occasionally they'll have like a Dillinger like mathy riff. Yeah, really catchy, really great, really solid. This whole album is just like nothing but bangers. And yeah, I would totally love to see them live.
Greyhaven. Interesting. Okay, I'll definitely put that on my list because I never actually like. I've heard the name been thrown around, but like I never actually like decide to explore them. You know?
It's easy to do on the internet. There's always some new hot new thing, you know, some new album everyone's going crazy about, and it's hard to keep up with it all.
Agreed. Another album that was actually really good to me this year is Thornhill's Heroine. Actually really liked. We saw them earlier this year and like I got hooked on them. Like it seems like this new wave of like, God, I sound like an old man saying that. This new wave. So like this trend of like kind of like Deftones-y trend has really been like popping off lately. Like with Loathe, they kind of like brought back like that Deftones sound, and then now Heroine kind of like combined a little bit of that sound with the modern flair with like, I guess 80% clean vocals, and they kind of put on this like I guess like boy band look.
Yeah, they're pretty dancey.
And so
and stylish.
Northlane along on that same record like UNFD, Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah,
that Mood Variant or Valiant. Yeah, both were very accurate because they have a remix called Mood Variant. They have the original album was called Mood Valiant.
And they have a remix of like the whole album?
Yeah.
What?
Mood Variant.
That's wild. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I searched it up by accident.
Huh.
I put R instead of L because I forgot how it's spelled, and then it just popped up. I was like, oh. And then I kind of just put two and two together, and I was like, oh, okay, it's a remix.
Oh, that's cool. That concert review is our most viewed episode.
God, I love that concert.
We got like 300 some views. We're
wow,
living large on that one. Yeah, I know.
Do you have 300 views?
We can pay the bills now.
Finally. Please.
No, that was a really fun show. That was you, Aaron, and Delano.
That was a good
We're
episode.
all in on it. I didn't know anything of it. I love Chivalry's Not Dead. That's my favorite song. I think Groove City.
Gotcha.
Man, that bass is chunky. God, I can eat that up. It's so good.
Chivalry's Not Dead is really good. And I think And We Go Gentle was my favorite song on that album. To me, that song, like, I remember listening to that album stoned. And like I was just listening to the rhythm section, and I was just zone in. I was like looking at the basses, and I was like, "Oh, you dirty motherfucker! I can't believe you did that. Oh, that is so sick." Just kind of like really studying them a little bit, and I was like kind of like grooving, and I was just kind of like just in the vibe. Like there's a lot of stuff that is done very intricately and smart that kind of just like goes over your head. Like when I listened to it sober, I'd never caught on to it, but when I listened to it like when I was like under the influence, I was able to like zone in and pinpoint like these different like odd meters that was going on, and like them playing with time, even though it was like maybe in 4/4. But I was like, no, like these are like geniuses. They're all geniuses, and it's fantastic, and I love it.
Yeah, seeing them live was fun. There was like the drummer and the bassist were standing next to each other, and they were just like vibing with each other, you know, being all technical and groovy. Napalm was in the center, and then
oh, dude, the aesthetics of that show was so beautiful.
Yeah, and then there were the backup singers, and yeah, there was like the shimmery. I don't even know what those things are called. Backdrop, and then
yeah, I think that's what
tons of visual, trippy, groovy visualizer things.
Oh, Rosewater was I think my favorite on that album. Enrico Chento was good, but like Rosewater, top tier for me.
Okay, this one's a good one. I can't remember if I recommended this one to you or not. This like prog hardcore band from the UK called Ithaca, and the album They Fear Us. Kind of like Rollo Tomasi a little. They've got this dynamo female vocalist. She said she wants to bring divine feminine energy to hardcore. And she's like a staunch activist. And
what activist?
Just staunch. Just like
what does that mean?
I don't know. She's just like a hardcore feminist.
Okay.
And
we said staunch for some
progressive.
reason. I was thinking of that one Rick and Morty word.
Squanch.
Squanch.
Yeah.
So I was like, what?
But yeah, they're good stuff. I was really hooked on that album in 2022. Catchy and heavy. That's all I want. Is that so much to ask for? That's always just what I'm seeking. All right, so this next band was absolutely a favorite.
Okay.
And this was definitely an album of the year contender for me. This band Chat Pile.
Oh,
and the album God's Country. I saw music communities going crazy for them, and from the description, I didn't think it was going to be my thing, but then I gave it a shot, and I'm so glad I did. It's like sludge metal, and maybe even like a little noise rock, and really just like sludgy, heavy, churning riffs. But really, the showcase of the album is the vocalist. He kind of does like some sort of not even spoken word. It's almost like he's just sort of rambling to himself. He really, I feel like I've said this before with like certain metal bands and stuff, but in this instance, I truly mean this. He legitimately sounds unhinged. Like, it does not sound like he's a vocalist performing a song. It sounds like he's a crazed man, and there just happens to be a band playing around him.
Interesting.
And the songs are like really dark and heavy about just like drug addiction and homelessness and like suicide, and it's like really intense stuff, and you just have this deranged man rambling and raving on these like Melvins-esque sludgy riffs, and it's just crushingly heavy. And if you want like a disturbing, crushingly heavy listen, I got addicted to it. It's really good. I had a lot of fun listening to it.
Okay, you'll have to link me. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about songs that scare us. Yeah, there's definitely like one or two that like legitimately scare me from this album.
It's very rare too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like shit that like scares me wouldn't really like. I watch a lot of like horror and stuff like that, so I'm pretty like numb to a lot of that stuff.
You don't. Yeah, it's like I feel like movie like horror translates really easily with like movies with like. I feel like, or like video games also. I feel like books and music, it's a little harder, but it's still totally doable.
100%.
My next one's also a big one. The Callous Cowboys with Celebrity Therapist.
Okay.
Well, yeah, as I gushed about at that Rollo Tomasi show,
you gushed hard.
Yeah, I gushed hard. I've loved their stuff. And I think I already said most of my thoughts on that review, but just in quick summary, they have 7 members in their band,
which is absolutely bonkers.
I heard someone in that show describe them as ska Slipknot, which funny. I think is hilarious. I don't know if I totally hear that, but I think it's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious too.
But yeah, they got a violinist, multiple vocalists, and they have a ton of energy, a lot of personality. They've got like fourth wall breaking, self-referential lyrics.
That's pretty funny.
You know, they'll talk about like they reference like the Heart Machine in one of their songs. Like, yeah, it's like
the band or like the actual machine.
This like the band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like music nerds making music for music nerds and about music. I don't know. It's just funny stuff. Really great mathcore. They're, the closest to scratching that itch that I've sought after with, Dillinger being out of the picture. And even though they get compared to Dillinger a lot, I don't think that's entirely fair. They definitely have their own sound. They're creating their own thing. And I really loved this latest album of theirs. Their previous one, Die on Mars, was like a huge success. And a lot of success even for such a young band. And I'm really excited for whatever their next release is, because I feel like that's going to be like the one that's like really knocks it out of the park. Like they're really going to keep finding their sound. And like really my only critique with them has just been with so many members, a lot of stuff gets lost in the mix. And we even experienced that seeing them live. So yeah, if they can just kind of work those kinks out, make certain things a little punchier, have everyone have their moment to shine, and keep up their songwriting, I think they'll make a banger.
What else? Oh, I've been listening to a lot. Oh, Bad Bunny, the reggaeton.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So many people. I don't listen to him. I get it, but yeah.
Oh, dude, I love Bad Bunny. Like,
yeah.
It took me a while to get into him, but like after a few like listens, I really liked his album Verano Sin Ti. Like,
for a while,
so good.
I kept getting him mixed up with Bad Barbie, the girl that got
Bad Baby.
Oh yeah, she got famous off of like Dr. Phil, the like Catch Me Outside girl. Yeah, I got them mixed up for the longest time. I now know how to differentiate them. But
Bad Baby and Bad Bunny.
Yeah. So I never looked up Bad Bunny because I didn't want to stumble upon like her music.
God, I refuse.
Which is such a dumb reason to not check him
she's
out.
Still relevant.
Oh, she's doing it. Yeah.
She even good?
I don't know. She raps and she like started an OnlyFans. No. That's all I know.
Okay. What's her OnlyFans?
No comment. All right. Let's get to our honorable mentions and our albums of the year. Or I don't know. I'm a nerd. I did honorable mentions. Did you?
I did not do honorable mentions. Because a lot of that stuff I already kind of like.
I'm a geek and I love lists.
I already mentioned all the stuff that was like hit me this year at least,
Yeah. I guess I'll say my honorable. So starting with 2021, honorable mentions were Arca with those 5 kick albums, Dead Soma with that EP.
Oh yeah, you showed me them today. They were sick.
Yeah. Idols and Between Them Buried to Me with Colors too. Wait, what? I have honorable mentions and then I have favorite albums. What am I doing? Okay. My favorite albums from 2021 were Radical, Every Time I Die, Masstaden, Under Vatten, Vildhjarta, Donda, Oops, Kanye West,
Oops,
Inside, Bo Burnham, Eternal Blue, Spiritbox, Oxidized, Frontier, and then my album of the year I went with Vildhjarta.
Interesting
Masstaden,
choice.
Under Vatten.
Interesting. That's an interesting choice for your album of the year. For me, album of the year to me it has to be Suicide Boys. Sing Me a Lullaby, Sing Me a Sweet My Lullaby, whatever that album. That is, I don't know, it hit me so hard, especially during the time where I was low. Like I think that I relate with that album a lot more. I've connected to that album.
I get that. Impactful.
Yeah, so that is my album of the year.
Sick. 2022. My honorable mentions were Fit for an Autopsy. Oh, What the Future Holds.
Oh, was that album of the year for 2021 or 2022?
Oh, I did 2021 first.
Oh, then
Vildhjarta.
Okay, so
was my 2021.
2021 for me. I don't think I have an album of the year for 2021.
Oh, okay.
So like,
no, that's all good.
So
I'm just making this shit up.
Suicide Boys was by 2022, and I don't have one for 2021.
That's all good. Yeah, honorable mentions 2022, Fit for an Autopsy, Oh What the Future Holds, Alluvial, Sarcoma, Jpegmafia LP, and Denzel Curry, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. My favorites for 2022, Greyhaven, Animals as Leaders, Polyphia, Ithaca, Chat Pile, and the Calloused Boys. And my album of the year for 2022 is Calloused Boys, Celebrity Therapist. Chat Pile's God Country was a super close second.
Okay.
Like I really almost made that my favorite. But yeah, I mean, that was a tough one. I mean, Polyphia was banging, Animals as Leaders. That was hard. I loved all of those favorites from 2022. I listened to all those albums on repeat so much.
Oh my God. You're an animal. Damn. What else do we got? Oh, yeah, our average score list?
Yeah, as a fun little nugget, I was going to look up what our highest score we gave and lowest score we gave.
I know our highest score was Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, you gave Hiatus Coyote a 9.7. So yeah, that's definitely your highest. I mean, mine was the Rollo Tomasi show. I gave it a 10.
Yeah, we were flip flop. We're opposites that day. Like you were like Hiatus Coyote, okay, and then I was like Rollo Tomasi, okay, but then I was like Hiatus Coyote, good, and it no, fantastic. You were like Rollo Tomasi, fantastic.
Yeah.
And our lowest score is definitely the Rings of Saturn show. I was very disappointed on Rings of Saturn, not everyone else.
Yeah, Rings of Saturn, you gave a 6.8. I gave it a 6.5 to 6.8.
Sometimes
Devin was there and gave it a 7.
Because he was nice, I think.
Yeah, he was being very generous.
Very generous.
We were busting balls that night. We didn't care. Yeah,
Right.
thanks for tuning in. Have a happy new year. Listen to music. It's cool.
Yeah, listen to music. Please send us links to some of your favorite bands. Please follow us on our socials. I'm tired.
Yeah. Sorry, my list was gargantuan.
It was awesome, though.
I'll have to trim that down in the future.
That was awesome. That's what we have a lot of footage. All right. Good night.